Coming up on Mountain News this morning, Appalachia is bracing for weather as storms from Helene make their way north. Plus, rain and all, the World Chicken Festival plans to continue through the weekend.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Madison Carmouche. We're inching up to 6 o'clock this Friday morning, and today is September 27th. Let's send it over to meteorologist Tim Drawbridge for a look at your first alert forecast.
And a first alert day here on WYMT again with Helene losing its punch, but still having a great impact across the Commonwealth today. Yes, the hot off the press update last hour extending the high wind warnings into central and northern Kentucky, minus those of you watching from Wayne County, as well as Owsley, Breathitt, Magoffin, Johnson, Lawrence, and Martin counties. These two issuances in effect until 8 o'clock tonight, as well as the flood watch. This is in effect for all of eastern and southern Kentucky. All right, temperature-wise, all in the 60s right now, minus Lexington at 70. Jonesville, you have bumped up now to 72. And the pinpoint Doppler radar, active all night long, going to be active all day long too. Heaviest of rain again north of the Helen Rogers. Pikeville over toward Columbia, especially out toward Danville. And as you make your way toward Powell and Stanton counties right now, here's the loop. And this is how things will end up lightening up here over the next couple of hours. More moisture is coming this way, and the additional rainfall that is moving in mid to late morning, midday, early afternoon coincides with the strongest winds. Some of the wind gusts will approach 60 miles per hour in spots today with a high of 75. The bus stop forecast coming up in a few moments. Madison.
All right, Tim, thank you. As the hurricane moves north, folks in eastern Kentucky should expect the rain and wind to pick up. The past week, parts of eastern Kentucky have already seen more than 4 inches of rain, and Helene will bring more, increasing the risk of flooding. Former WYMT meteorologist Cameron Aaron, who was here during the 2022 flood, is now with our sister station WCTV in Tallahassee, Florida, an area that could see significant damage. We talked to Cameron earlier about what folks here need to remember.
Keep an eye on those rivers and those creeks and those streams because they can rise quickly, as we know in eastern Kentucky. Now, again, the impacts won't be nearly as great that far north, but once you factor in tropical moisture and all the trees and the gusty winds in eastern Kentucky, the terrain that doesn't mix terribly well. So, of course, we'll keep an eye on that closely.
And I actually spoke to Cameron this morning. He is safe, sound, and getting some much needed rest. You can watch Cameron and WCTV's live coverage in Tallahassee on our website. Power companies here in Kentucky are having to figure out plans due to the storm. This will have impacts very far inland and affect a lot of people. This creates big plans in terms of response. While some co-ops are staying in Kentucky to monitor the situation, Joe Arnold with Kentucky Electric Cooperative says 7 different co-ops are heading south to assist elsewhere.
Our co-ops in Kentucky have been paired up with co-ops in Georgia. So we have 4 co-ops that are currently either on the way or leaving soon to go to Georgia. And there are other co-ops who are, after the weather moves into here and they're able to make sure they have enough crews to take care of things here, they will also then probably send crews down.
With wind gusts more than 50 miles per hour possible in the area, there needs to be enough people ready here for power outages. Daniel Laurie with Kentucky Utilities says as of now they are staying local. A huge event in southern Kentucky this weekend is expected to attract thousands of people despite the weather. The World Chicken Festival is off and running in London. First responders and vendors say they are prepared for bad and possibly dangerous weather. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on the preparations.
Staying covered inside as much as possible, even though the World Chicken Festival is a major outdoor event.
We're kind of measuring out right now to see how much space we have for an extra tent, just so we can put some stuff under that so people can stay dry.
There are 180 vendors set up all around the downtown area. There's also carnival rides and nightly concerts.
It's all about making sure your stuff's up off the street, make sure water can get through, because water's going to go where it wants, but you don't want your stuff to get wet.
All the vendors have been made aware that, everything has to be tied down and properly weighted. That way.
A lot of the vendors and events are intense, out of the elements, but some people actually have to work outside in the weather and even for long periods of time. Gavin Smith says he could be out in the weather a lot during his 15-hour shift.
Jackets, ponchos, whatever we can to keep ourselves warm, keep ourselves dry.
If the weather gets really bad, an emergency plan can be activated.
And part of that is if the rain starts, individuals seek shelter in their cars, in buildings, and then once the coast is clear and that announcement has been made by our emergency team, then the festival will resume.
Got to have a real good canopy. You got to weight it down, so my weights on my canopy are 50-pound weights each.
Festival proceeds benefit about 50 nonprofit organizations, and people say that it's very important to keep it going for them. Laurel County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
And today we will be live at the World Chicken Festival as WYMT brings you coverage of the event. We will have the Appalachian Wireless WYMT selfie stop there, and we encourage you to stop by, take a photo, and send them to us. To submit photos, you can scan the QR code on the Appalachian Wireless WYMT selfie stop photo frame or submit them at WYMT.com. The festival runs through Saturday. The Mountain Heritage Festival is also underway in Whitesburg. There are some changes to the festival because of rain and the recent courthouse shooting. Tourism Director Lee Adams says organizers wanted to make sure they were respectful of both families involved in the shooting.
We did have a meeting and talked about it and how can we respect both families. That what can we do to just respect and be a part of community and still do community.
The festival runs through Saturday. Adams says it is a big fundraiser for schools and nonprofits. We do know of one festival being postponed. Hippie Fest, which was scheduled for Saturday in downtown Pikeville, will be moved to a later date. The new day is not yet scheduled. Several schools have closed today due to the weather. Some are having an NTI day. You can find the latest list on WYMT.com and the WYMT News app. We also have more hurricane coverage there. Just scan this QR code for a link to download. You can also sign up for breaking news alerts.
.06 on a Friday morning. I know I promised you the bus stop forecast, but I was making a subtle adjustment to be able to get a better look and refined wind speed look for you. 64 here in Hazard, as warm as 70 in Lexington, 70 Harlan to 72 at Jonesville, 68 good morning to you in Pikeville, and it's 68 at the London Corbin Airport. Wind gusts, check them out. Gusts to 35 at Lexington, a gust to 29 at Wise, and we'll continue to pick up these wind speeds as we head through the next several hours. Gusts again 45 to 50 easily by 9 a.m. Here's the heaviest of rain right now. Jackson toward Louisa, out toward Richmond and Danville, a break toward Harlan, Norton, and Kingsport. And again, we'll see things lighten up before picking up again, both rain and wind, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning through the afternoon. Again, 9 to 2 p.m., the worst part of the day here on a Friday. All right, the weekend, any improvements? The ARH First Alert 7-day forecast in a few moments. Madison?
All right, Tim, thank you. And thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. When we return, the battle over the border heats up in the presidential race as Harris heads to Arizona and Trump speaks on Ukraine.